boys! In this video, we're gonna tackle 10 of the most asked questions in the IdleOn community, so let's get straight into 10 tips that you might not know to make your IdleOn grind better. I'll be trying not to make this video 30 minutes long, so if you need more information about a certain topic, go ahead and ask me in the comments. Let's go! Alright, so before jumping into the first tip, just to be clear, in this video we're gonna talk about some World 1 to World 4 stuff, so I guess that's a spoiler alert if you're not in World 4 yet. With that being said, we're now gonna talk about drop rate first, more specifically about drop rate Obols. So let's take a look, for example, at this 9.69 drop rarity.
Nice.
Well, if we take a look at the Obols, you can see that only from Obols you can actually get a total of 306% drop rate, which is a lot. This is actually like a third of my whole drop rate multiplier, so not bad at all. Obviously you might not be able to get that much since you need to unlock every Obol slot to achieve that, but definitely highly recommend to get a good drop rate from Obols early on. If you didn't know, you can get pop Obols on Frogs in World 1, and you can get dice Obols from multiple sources. As you can see, the list is huge. Go check it out on the wiki. The best way to reroll your Obols to get the most out of them is to reroll only one pop Obol until it gets to 3%, and then combine it with another pop Obol. It doesn't matter if the pop Obol on the right is not reroll, only the left Obol will transfer its bonus to its silver form, which will give you 4% drop rate. The same goes for your dice Obols. Golden dice Obol should give you 8% drop rate, hexagon dice Obol should give you 11% drop rate, and the sparkle one should give you 16% drop rate. It's time for tip number 2, baby! Woohoo! Alright, so jumping into Alchemy, how should you be working on the famous big old Alchemy? So this part is mostly for people who unlocked Alchemy not too long ago or just haven't put much time or thought into it. You probably already know, but Alchemy is one of the biggest source of pretty much everything in the game, so you definitely need to work on your Alchemy as much as you can on a daily basis. So try to level up the following bubbles as you can early on: a Larry, undeveloped cost, and every bubble 15, giving you either free level ups or cost reduction on your bubbles. If you have the 3 main bargain bubbles unlocked, you should always use a warrior to level up orange bubbles, archer to level up green bubbles, and mage to level up purple bubbles, as the bubble 2 of every cauldron will multiply the effect of the bargain bubble while being on the specific class. You definitely want to try to upgrade every bubble as much as you can if you got the resources to do so, because in World 4 you unlock a huge bonus in the lab called No Bubble Left Behind, which gives you free levels to your lowest level bubbles. So of course, imagine that you've got a bubble at level 20 that requires 200 oak logs to upgrade, and you have 100,000 in your storage. That would be kind of wasted on No Bubble Left Behind, so that's why you want to upgrade every bubble as much as you can. Finally, I would advise using bargain tag as much as possible, especially on bubbles you want to focus while struggling on resources. You can either buy 1 or 2 bargain tags to have a smaller cost reduction on many upgrades, or completely max it out to 90% for the bubbles you struggle the most leveling, for example Diamond Chef or Mr. Massacre. And if you're a late game player and you're curious on which bubble is worth pushing to insane numbers, I would advise just to take a look at the top players on IdleOn efficiency leaderboards. This should give you a pretty good idea. Tip number 3. So getting on to tip number 3 and 4, I'm putting them together because we're talking about how to choose what resources to sample to get the best out of your 3D printer and how to optimize your samples. So first off, you might be asking yourself, what resources should you sample? I would say just start off by sampling every skilling resources you can, so mining with squires, chopping with mage, catching with archers, and fishing on barb. You can use 2 warriors on mining samples if you want. Same goes for chopping and catching, as those resources will be pretty important. Go ahead and use the remaining characters to get mob resources for your refinery, and look at what you want to focus in alchemy, for example, frogs, goblins, board beans, snakes, the list goes on. The key, I think, is to diversify in resources and resample every now and then when you feel like you made progress on your scaling efficiency. Now for every scaling sample, you'll want to optimize your efficiency, your AFK gain percent, your multi-ore, multi-chop, multi-fish, and multi-catch, as well as your sample size, which you can see by opening your inventory, going into skills info, then clicking on the construction icon, and you'll see your printer sample rate, which caps off at 90%. There are a couple ways to increase this, such as the Royal Sampler Prayer. So when you're about to set up your character for sampling, here's a quick tour of everything you need to think about. So first off, get your best scaling gear, boost food, trophy, keychains, premium hat and wings if you have them. Also select your scaling card preset. Then for World 1, go ahead and select your star signs. World 2, go ahead and choose your active bubbles. World 3, equip your prayers. And in World 4, choose your chips and make sure the important bonuses in the lab are connected. I won't go too much in depth on things like statues, stamps, alchemy and cooking, since these are not things you need to set up, but rather things you need to work on over time. This is more like a way to prepare right before sampling. Tip number 5. This one is going to be about prayers, so when should you be using prayers, which one you want to focus leveling, and how to level them up properly. Skilled Dimwit, one of the strongest prayer in the game, definitely one you want to work on and eventually max out. Helps to get bigger scaling samples, as well as your trapping, worship, cooking, and so on. Even if your goal is to level up a certain skill, it can be worth it to see if your XP is better with or without it, as more efficiency can give you more XP even with the curse on Skilled Dimwit. Unending Energy. Of course, use it at your own risk. Sure, you can put it on everyone, but be sure to collect your AFK gains every 10 hour maximum. This is overpowered when farming active. Tachyon of the Titans. So you probably already know, but it's a very good prayer to use when active farming. Giant monsters can drop pretty valuable stuff, for example, time candies. Royal Sampler. So as far as I know, this prayer is absolutely required if you really want to reach the 90% cap on your sample size. Personally, I maxed it out and I wouldn't recommend doing so. You don't have to max it out to reach 90%, so you might just want to see how much more sample size you need to reach 90% and just level it up accordingly. Circular Critical is a very good source of crit chance and is good to use when active farming, and even if your critical damage gets lowered, crits will always do more damage, so level it up as you can, especially if you're active farming, since crit chance doesn't matter while you're AFK. Balance of Pain is one of the best source of multi-kill in the game, so if you're going after getting more kills per hour, either when grinding your death note or getting mob sample, just max this one out as much as you can, OP. Shiny Snitch is pretty insane for shiny critters, but just be careful to not level it up too much. Finally, Vacuous Tissue is a no-brainer. It will double your dungeon rewards if you have enough tickets, even for your boosted times 20 run, which can give you a times 40 run every week. For prayers I didn't talk about, it's probably because they're trash or like endgame stuff, so you should already know if you are endgame. Tip number 6 is gonna be about construction. If you're actually using build rate cogs, I'll just break your hopes and dreams right there. Just use XP cogs. Yeah. As you gain more construction levels, your build rate will go higher, so honestly, just focus on XP cogs, and when you can, place boosters all around your guys. Just like that. Pretty easy stuff. Then for buildings to focus on, I will say the first row is pretty important to prioritize. Then at least unlock every shrine you can unlock. And for towers, focus on the Party Starter, Boulder, Frozen Malone, and Stormcaller. The Kraken is important too, but it's not as important to level up. If you're pretty advanced in construction, just know that the Poisonic Tower can get better than the Boulder, but only if their level is around the same or higher. So since it's harder to level up, it will take time before it's actually better than the Boulder. In part 7, I will show you how to be efficient when collecting worship souls with your wizard. The wizard class has a skill called Charge Siphon that transfers most charge from every character on your wizard. If you have access to IdleOn efficiency, in the World Tree section, you can see when you're maxed out on charge, so that you don't waste any charge that would overflow, just like me right now. So of course you want to increase every talent that gives you either worship efficiency, skill efficiency, and wisdom. For your gear, you want to use serrated Rex rings for skill efficiency, then get as much wisdom as you can. Same goes for cards, skill efficiency, and wisdom. Just know that any AFK gain source does not help getting more souls. Always use the worship boost food and the food effect card set bonus. There's a star sign in IdleOn that gives you 15% worship efficiency and XP. And another star sign that gives you 15% better food effect, which boosts your worship boost food. The third one should be 3% wisdom. If you've got worship Obols or wisdom Obols, that's pretty cool. And finally, you can use chips to double both cards, your star signs, your King of Food trophy, and get as much skill efficiency bonuses as possible. Tip number 8 is following the last one, how to collect your traps using Hunter. So pretty similar to worship, a little preparation before collecting your traps can help a lot. The following tips are essentially to upgrade your shiny chances, since trapping efficiency and trapping XP only counts when you're placing down your traps. First off, you got your boost food, which you can increase with the food effect star sign and the food effect card set bonus. Then shiny chance cards, plus the food effect card. You obviously want Eagle Eye and Reflective Eyesight maxed. Then you can decide to equip the Shiny Snitch Prayer depending on your shiny chances. You may be able to get a lot more shinies by using it, especially on frogs if you're aiming to level up the Shiny Frog Vial. Also, you can use King of Food trophy and double your cards via chips as well as your trophy. Just know that using the drone in World 3 gives you the exact same result than using Eagle Eye. Alright, so part 9 will be about the lab progression early on, which can be quite confusing when you first reach World 4. I see a lot of players when they reach World 4 asking how they should tackle the lab, and I will say there are 2 different ways to begin your lab progression. First off, let's talk about the most important bonuses you want to reach early on. Wired In makes all uploaded characters print 2 times more resources from their section of the 3D printer. This is huge since the 3D printer is what brings you the most resources overall. No bubble left behind is insane. Every day this node will give you free alchemy levels, and it can get even better with the Gerald Pirate Rhinestone. So that's a total of 4 bubbles, gaining 3 levels every day. Absolutely amazing. And there's also Gilded Cyclical Tubing, which makes your refinery produce salt 3 times faster. Early on, you should be only aiming for those 3. you'll get more eventually. So with that being said, how should you start your lab progression? Well, the end goal here is to have 5 or 6 characters in the lab at all time. But when you start off, I will definitely suggest to only reach the 3 nodes we talked about. If you put too many characters in the lab right from the beginning, you will lose too much overall progress on your account, and if your 3D printer is not properly set up, your refinery will most likely run out of materials anyway. Once you unlock more jewels and your 3D printer is doing better, then you can start adding a couple characters in to unlock their chip slots and to reach more lab bonuses. If you have 2 Bubos, you should always be using one in the lab to boost your other characters' XP until all your characters have reached level 75 in the lab. Another way of getting started will be to lock almost all of your characters to progress faster on chip slots and gaining pixel length, but I will not recommend it. And for the final section of this video, let's talk about cooking progression. Cooking is another huge source of account-wide bonuses, but to progress efficiently on cooking, you need 2 things: cooking speed and cooking speed. Of course, cooking and breeding go together. Keep cracking your eggs to progress in breeding to unlock more spices so you can unlock more meals. For cooking speed, you've got eggs, corn dog, cabbage, and later on soda. But most importantly, you've got Diamond Chef Bubble. This bubble is the true definition of exponential growth. The more meals you get to level 11, the more cooking speed you'll get, and this skyrockets. So basically, save all of your beach ducks spices to spend it on Diamond Chef and use bargain tag at 90% to level it up as much as possible. Then I will say work on your meals from top to bottom, upgrading every meal you unlock to level 11. And when they are all level 11, you can start pushing the cooking speed meals as much as possible. Next on the list, you've got your kitchen upgrades. Notice that every spice that is required to increase the luck bonus will increase the speed bonus on the next kitchen. So I will advise you to not push the luck stat that much. Only level up the luck if the cost gets kinda small, because every 10 total level on your kitchen will give you more speed from the cabbage meal. Of course, in the lab there's a couple nodes and jewel that gives you cooking speed. And finally, if you truly want to progress in cooking, work on your Blood Berserker's cooking efficiency for ladles. And there you go! The video got longer than I planned. I really hope I did not overwhelm you and that you learned a thing or two from this video. I already have a couple ideas for the future, but if you have some, please let me know in the comments. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video and I developed my editing skills in the process, so that's cool. But hey, with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace!